barriers for anyone who might have challenges with the recruitment process because of a disability or long-term health condition. So I would really recommend kind of mentioning it on your application form. There'll be a kind of a box to tick to say, yes, I have a disability or long-term health condition, and then you can detail any reasonable adjustments you might need to the process, whether that's extra time, whether it's having a slightly different format, whether it's bypassing the games-based assessment, because we know that sometimes candidates with specific disabilities might be disadvantaged by that. Anything like that really, or if you need to get in contact with us because you're not sure maybe what's available or what we can do, we have contact details on our website and in all of our communications to you so that you can get in touch and have a chat with someone from the recruitment team about it.
Yeah, Lauren?
Yeah, spot on everything Sophie's just said, but additionally, I definitely, I know it's always nerve-wracking that you might not want to disclose, but actually it's only going to help you. And we've had cases where people haven't disclosed and then they're already in the assessment centre day and we can't help them with that support. So we try our best, but if you can do that beforehand, things like we can give you extra time, we can talk through what the assessment centre process might look like to try and sort of ease anxieties. We give a one-pager out before the assessment centre with some example questions and what to expect from the day, things like what to wear, all those little things that you might be worried about. And then, we hope to try and remove some of those things for you, and then, exactly like you said, so that you can do the best on the day. So please, do let us know and let employers know if that's something that we need extra support with. Sometimes it can just be that the recruitment team might just call you up and just have a quick conversation about, what do you need, how can we support you? And then that also helps within the job as well, because then we know, if you get through to the final job, brilliant. It means we know that we can put that support in place before you turn up on your first day.
Amy, is there anything else that you would like to add to that, or are you quite happy with?
No, I mean, I'd echo everything that's been said.
Sure.
We do offer things as well, like if we have a technical element to some of our assessment centres, we've had people dictate that in the past, if that's easier, because you prefer to listen rather than read. We have been trying to work really closely as well with our neurodiversity partners to make our applications more accessible, even from the job descriptions and things. But I would agree that just let us know. Just let us know that we're not looking to trick you up. We'll try and make it as we don't want to make a big song and a dance about it. We'll try and include it as much as possible. But if we don't know, we can't do anything. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point to put across, is that employers want to help you, they want to get you through the process and they want you to be hired. They're not looking to, as Amy has said there, to trip you up. Darren, coming from a smaller organisation, is there anything there that you would like to add to your recruitment process in terms of declaring any disabilities, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's imperative you disclose everything up front, because again, we don't want to be unfair to anyone applying. We want everyone to be treated in the same way, have a consistent screening process. We have to be able to validate our screening process to ensure it's done on the same criteria. And if you have identified a disability of any kind, the screening would not pick that up. Individuals come into my box for review based on their skills and the ability to do the role, or the ability to, the skill set in their mind and their capability. Disabilities have nothing to come into the role. We have a number of people with various disabilities or elements that we have to be aware of in the workplace, so that we can address those, we can support them and ensure that they feel part of the team, and that's a key requirement of our business.
Can I just add as well, it's not even just about disability. We also offer things like we will expense your travel to our assessment centres. Our assessment centres are in person. We will expense travel. If you're coming from a long way, we will put you up in a hotel. Do ask, if the barrier is something financial, or you can't get the time off, or we offer 2 different assessment centres. If you can't make the date we've given you, let us know. It might not even have to be as extreme as disclosing a full accessibility need, but just those small things. If there is something niggling or bothering you about, I'm not sure I can make this work with what's going on, just tell us.
Excellent, thank you for sharing that. So we're going to move on to some actionable advice and some future skills for everybody. Just as part of the skills, Lauren, if I can ask you, it's often said to us, but I don't have a degree in that area, but I really want to go and work for these organisations. What would be your take on that? Are you looking for students with particular disciplines? What would you say?
Yeah, I think, but certainly with our programme at Sky Studios Elstree, actually there's no requirement on any particular degree. If you've got a related degree, brilliant, because it means you've got a little bit of the knowledge that's going to help you. But actually, we've had people who've done meteorology, and then they've come to us in a film studio, and then they want to go and be actually want to be a weather presenter. We've had people do English and maths, and so there's we're not really that fussed about the type of degree or the specialism that you've done. It's more about your passion for working in film and TV and media and film, if that's your interests, and trying to get that across in your application. So making sure that you're, like I said, sort of tailoring your application. So it might be that in your personal statement at the top of your CV, you said, really want to get into film and TV. My favourite film is this, and I love this about work, like set design or whatever it is that you've got a passion for. That's always really good. And then the final thing to say is, with film and TV, there's slightly difference in CV and how we kind of see them. Sort of a production CV is a more specific type of CV. You can find all of that information on the ERIC app, and you can follow us as a company on the ERIC app, and there's whole guides on how to write your CV for application, some tips and tricks to actually apply for the programme. So using those resources, like we mentioned before, will only help strengthen your application.
Amy, if I could change that slightly. So what's the one piece of advice you wish that every student knew before that they applied?
It's a good question. I think I would say that there is no right answer to any question or any process. I think it's really hard when you're going through it. You're at an assessment centre, you're in an interview, and you're like, what do they want me to say? It goes back to that AI piece. It's like trying to say what you think we want to hear is not going to work. We want to hear from you. We're not trying to trip you up, particularly in early careers. We don't expect you to be a fully formed professional who can do interviews like no tomorrow. Like, we really, really want to see who you are as a person, and we're not looking to trip you up. Our questions are transparent. We're trying to really get the best out of you, to learn about you. And again, like, back to the kind of application and maybe my degree is not relevant. I did a physics degree. I now work in the pharmaceutical industry as a data scientist. I spent most of my placement year telling people why physics was related to data, which if anyone does physics, you know that a lot of our degree is data. But it's about pulling those skill sets out. It's not, don't assign yourself a label just because you study something in particular. If you've got a passion and you put some effort in. We've had students who tell us they don't study a related degree, but they've put time in their spare time to learn how to program, and they really want to be programmers. Excellent. That shows you want to work for us. So yeah, my advice is be yourself, follow your passions, and just try and be as transparent as possible.
That's amazing, thank you. Darren, if I can just shift that question a little bit for yourself. So what skills do you think will matter for graduates in the future?
Skills for the future, being aware of how to use applications in the workplace, the importance of AI, digital interfacing, what we call a blended digital workforce, interacting between humans and bots in the workplace, and ensuring that you can manage that balance between the two. Candidates coming through, for me, it's really important that individuals understand the ability and how it gives them an advantage to know how to use certain applications like Word, Excel, even some of the AI tools now, and the importance of how to balance those communications out, rather than someone 20, 30 years ago who couldn't type, would spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes creating one email, can now create an email within seconds. But how does that look to someone on the other end? Individuals in the workplace, residential management, are people, they're tenants, they're leaseholders. They want to see a human response. So again, the importance there is how do you then balance that up, create the email, and then tweak it and make it more human.
And Sophie, for yourself, before we move on to the questions from the audience.
Yeah, I'd say, look, the early career space and work in general is changing so rapidly with, increasing use of technology and AI, but I'd say that what won't change is the need for those human skills. And so it's the things like resilience, communication, being able to work as a team and collaborate effectively that are really important to us and are at the heart of our business. Tesco is a people business, and we want to see that accordingly. So I would disagree slightly with you, Darren, in a friendly way, of course, in that
we're not necessarily needing all of the skills of I can do X, Y, Z, and I can use this application to do this. We can teach that. What we need is the human element and the ways of approaching things and your mindset rather than anything else from my perspective. But understand we're very different employers.
Wonderful, thank you. So sadly we are coming to an end of this session. I can't believe it just goes so quickly. I could stay here for quite a long time and go through some of these. You will be able to meet with the employers. They do all have stands at the fair, so I hope you'll take the time to go and say hi to them. If you haven't already, I think some of the team do recognise some faces already. But just before we close, we've got time for 1 or 2 questions. Does anybody have anything in particular? So we've got a couple of hands at the front here. I'll just take one from the front if I may, and I'll take one at the back. And then if I've got a chance, I'll say your questions. Yes.
For students who may not yet have direct life experience, what's the best way to share potential and transferable skills?
Any other panel? Open to the panel.
Yeah, I think probably similar to kind of what Amy said before. It's like it doesn't have to be totally relatable work experience. You know, we know it's very difficult sometimes to get part-time work, to get placement experience, but anything that you kind of develops, like what Sophie said, those people skills. So it could even be working extracurricular stuff. So it could be leading clubs, it could be leadership positions within the uni. It could be anything that's it could be a subject course ambassador, anything like that where you're showing over and above not just the kind of content that you're learning, but the kind of leadership people skills that you're able to develop. All of that is really good to put on your CV and in your application. And then other things, can you do free online modules and e-modules and courses? So for film and TV, there's loads of free modules on screen skills. Go and do as many as them as you can, because it shows me that you've got passion in that area. So think about other kind of relatable things. Even like if you've got a YouTube channel, maybe you write blogs or vlogs of the kind of content or topics that are relatable to the particular employer that you're going for. Anything that shows your passion over and above your course, I would say.
Wonderful, great answer, Lauren, thank you. There was a question at the back. Is that, do you still have a question? Yes, the lady there. Yeah. So the question is about structuring CVs. Darren, do you want to come back on that one?
Yeah, there's not a wrong or a right way to structure a CV. For me, entry-level roles, be to the point, no more than a page. Think about the amount of CVs we get through and how many we've got to go through each and every day. We're not going to have time to read through 5 pages. If you're going through roles, think about what you really want to sell yourself on. What we said about here today, people skills, experience, doesn't have to be to the role itself, but something you feel is going to be relevant. Make sure your dates are in there, what your interests are. We want to know you as a person, not just that you can do the job, but also some achievements, not just what you've done in the past. You've done X, Y, and Z. What have you achieved? What are your successes? But be very direct to the point. And then, once you get through that process, you've got the opportunity to sell yourself to the hirer because they're interested in you at that point.
Can I add something? If anyone's really struggling with things like formatting and how to make it look good in Word, I can't stand Word, sorry. Canva is a really good free tool that you can use. There's hundreds of free templates that you can use, and they add guides as well alongside the template to how to fill out your CV. Also makes it look creative, simple, without all the formatting mess of Word.
Lovely, thank you all very much. We will have to close the session here for the next one, but if anybody's got any questions, the employers will be here for a couple of minutes. But I guess just to summarise, I think what we've heard here is very much about tailoring your applications, make sure you've done the research, don't just be firing off lots of applications, etc. that are not relevant to the job. Avoid making mistakes. Darren's picked up there on some spelling and grammar, etc. Get somebody to proofread for you. The guys in the office here will also help you at the careers service. And really, when you get to that stage of the actual interview, just be your authentic self. Treat it as a conversation. Don't be scripted. They don't want robots. They are looking for real people who can talk So I think maybe those might be some of the takeaways that you'll have from today. These slides will be shared with you, so you'll be able to rewatch this video should you need to. But for now, I'd just like to say a huge thank you. This is a pilot for us. And to see so many of you here today is delightful, and to our lovely panel of experts as well. So please do have a chat with them after this session, and thank you all very much for attending.
Yeah, they missed that.